Every now and then, a racing driver will find a car that they completely click with. A car that does everything they want when they want. The perfect setup. And when you're a NASCAR driver fighting to gain as much over your competitors as possible, it's easy to fall in love with that perfect car when you find it. That's what happened to Dale Earnhardt Jr. in 2015. Often regarded as one of the greatest restrictor plate drivers in NASCAR history, he was given a car to race in that year's Speed Weeks in Daytona. However, this wouldn't be an ordinary car. It would be one he loved and grew attached to. Earnhardt would continue to use the car, and together they would see highs and lows. Dale Jr. enjoyed the car so much that he gave it a name, and that name was Amelia. My name is Intern, I talk wheel, and this is the life and death of Amelia, Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s favorite car. In early February 2015, it was business as usual for NASCAR teams. Mechanics in the shop trying to build the best possible car for that year's Daytona 500, the Great American Race. Hendrick Motorsports and Dale Earnhardt Jr. were keen on repeating their winning effort last year. In 2014, Dale Jr. scored his second victory in the Daytona 500, 10 years after his first. He did this under much pressure from the pack chasing behind him, and it took a perfectly positioned piece of tape hitting his car's grille near the end that gave him the extra speed he needed to keep Denny Hamlin and Brad Keselowski behind. Jr. was regarded as one of the best restrictor plate racers in NASCAR history. With 10 victories in plate races throughout his career, coupled with 5 wins in the Daytona duels and 2 in the Bud Shootout, he had a combined 17 victories on plate tracks. 2015 would be the year Earnhardt went to defend his crown, and to try and do it, Hendrick Motorsports built this, chassis number 88-872. However, after a year of driving this chassis in restrictor plate races that season, Dale would give the car a name, Amelia. Named after Amelia Earhart, the first woman ever to fly solo across the Atlantic Ocean. Amelia would be the chassis Dale would use to try and go for pole in the Daytona 500. 2015 was the year group qualifying was used to determine pole for the 500, a format many were not fond of, as cars would qualify in a pack to try and find more speed. Junior's teammate Jeff Gordon would take pole in what would be his final Daytona 500 before retiring from the sport at the end of 2015. Despite an early accident in the session, Junior survived for a P10 starting spot, meaning he'd start his duel race in P5. However, following post-qualifying inspection, Dale Jr.'s car was found to be too low and he was sent to the back of the grid for his duel. With nothing behind him and everything ahead of him, Dale and Amelia sliced their way through the field and took home the win in Duel 1, guaranteeing a start on the second row for the Daytona 500. One race with Amelia down, one win. But the next race would be the biggest, the Daytona 500. From the second row of the grid, Junior would set off to try and score his third win in the race. Junior and Amelia ran up front all race, leading as much as 32 laps, but could only manage third at the end as Joey Logano claimed his first ever Daytona 500 victory over Kevin Harvick. A good result, yes, but Earnhardt was hungrier. In the post-race interview, he said Amelia was the best car all weekend and could have won the race. There were 3 restrictor plate races left in 2015, the spring and fall races at Talladega and the Coke Zero 400 at Daytona. And Junior and the team, impressed by the pace, decided to contest the remaining 3 races with Amelia. The spring race at Talladega was Amelia's second go. Talladega was no stranger to seeing Dale Earnhardt Jr. in victory lane. He had 5 wins at the track going into this race and was the 3rd most successful driver to ever race at the super speedway. Who was the first? None other than his father, Dale Earnhardt Sr., who recorded a whopping 10 victories at the track and scored his last victory in NASCAR at Talladega in 2000. Hendrick Motorsports continued their dominance in restrictor plate qualifying, with Jeff Gordon scoring his second pole of that year to go along with his pole in the Daytona 500. Come race day, however, Earnhardt and Amelia would step up to the task, leading a race-high 67 laps and taking the win, as Dale scored his 6th victory at Talladega and saw him capture his second checkered flag with Amelia that year. And that second checkered flag would soon become 3, as Dale and Amelia would go on to win the Coke Zero 400 from Daytona from pole in a dominant fashion, leading 96 of 161 laps. Then came the last plate race of the season, and as it regarded the championship, it was the most important one. With Junior outside the top 8 in the championship going into Talladega, he was in a must-win situation if he wanted to continue to fight for the title. Dale and Amelia gave it everything they had, fighting at the front and leading 61 laps. However, by the slimmest of margins, they lost the lead on the final restart to Joey Logano, finishing P2, eliminating Dale from the playoffs. In just 1 year of racing, Amelia recorded a win in the duels, a 3rd place at Daytona, a 2nd place in the Talladega fall race, and 2 wins, one at Talladega and one at the Coke Zero 400. With this level of success, Junior and crew chief Greg Ives made the call to modify Amelia and use her once again to contest plate races in 2016. And it got off to the exact same start, as Dale and Amelia would once again win the duels for the Daytona 500 in 2016. However, come race day, things would not be as great. After leading 15 laps early, Junior settled near the front for most of the race. However, on lap 169, Amelia exited turn 4 and lost the back end, heading toward the inside wall, sliding and eventually colliding with it. In a post-race interview, Junior said that finding balance was a challenge for the team and that they underestimated the importance of handling for the race. With massive damage to the front, there was much fear in Junior's camp that this was the end of Amelia. With Talladega coming up, the team made the call to repair Amelia and give her another go, and she once again showed speed, qualifying 3rd for the race. However, on lap 50, once again, Amelia would lose traction out of a corner, this time going towards the outside wall and collecting Junior's teammate Casey Kane. Amelia's front end was in tatters once again, and Dale brought her into the pits where the crew would work as hard as they could to get her back out there to salvage whatever points may have been left to score. They would return to the race multiple laps down when on lap 110, Carl Edwards would lose a tire on the inside of the track, shoot right up the track into Amelia's path, crashing into her and finishing her off for good. There was no fixing this. Amelia was well and truly dead. In a Sirius XM radio interview, Dale Jr. said that the center of the chassis was bent, meaning that Amelia was officially unfixable. It was unlike a team to use one chassis for so long, but Amelia was a special car to Dale, one that always drove the way he needed her to, until she stopped driving the way he needed her to. Unfortunately, with time, Amelia was unable to handle the draft, evident by those 2 crashes she had once she was in dirty air exiting corners. Amelia's time was up, and even though she rests in Dale's